Not because they care about your garden, because their survival depends on detecting danger before it arrives. The birds in your yard already know how bad this winter will be. They can feel the drought developing across your county. They see the smoke from a wildfire miles away, even the slow collapse of the soil beneath your lawn. The birds often detect these threats long before you do, and when they do, they change their behavior in ways most people never notice. The problem is, those changes look ordinary, unless you know what you're looking at. Welcome back to the Backyard Observer. Today, we're decoding 10 warning signals your backyard birds have been screaming at you, while you completely ignored them. Stick around because that last signal is the most chilling of all. It's not about weather, and it's not about predators. It's a sign that the music in your yard has completely died. Signal number 1, the frantic winter stockpile. Long before the first autumn leaf turns yellow, the chickadees and titmice in your yard are already sizing up the coming winter. They don't have access to weather maps. They just read the local trees and the early shifts in the morning air. When a really brutal winter freeze is heading down the continent, their daily routine turns into a race against time. You'll see a single chickadee visiting your feeder every 30 seconds. It grabs a sunflower seed, flies straight to a crack in the bark of your maple tree, jams it inside, and comes right back. This is called scatter hoarding. In a normal year, they take their time. They eat a bit, rest a bit. But when a historic freeze is coming, they don't stop to eat. They're fighting a ticking clock. A tiny chickadee weighs about as much as 3 pennies. That's it. To survive a single 0-degree night, it has to burn through its entire body fat reserve just to keep its heart beating until morning. If they see the wild food supply in the woods drying up early, they'll hide up to 80,000 individual seeds in a month. When your feeders are suddenly being wiped out in September or October, the birds are trying to tell you something. A rough winter's already locked in. It's time to winterize your home. Signal number 2, the drought migration. On the flip side, water's everything in your backyard. Birds need it to stay hydrated, of course, but they also need it to keep their feathers clean and flexible. If their feathers get dry and brittle, they lose their ability to fly well and stay warm. When your region starts drifting into a long dry drought, the natural puddles and small creeks in the woods vanish first. The birds will warn you about this drying trend by crowding your water features like never before. Suddenly, your bird bath's not just a quiet spot for a midday splash. It turns into a busy, stressful truck stop. You'll start seeing birds you rarely spot in the open, species that usually stay hidden deep in the woods. They're risking their lives coming out into your open lawn just because they're desperate for a clean drink. You'll also notice they don't linger. They dip and splash quickly and leave. They're trying to clear away the thick dust that builds up on their skin when the air lacks humidity. If your bird bath's suddenly packed with a noisy, anxious crowd of different species, while the rest of the woods feel completely dry and empty, the local water table's dropping. The birds are letting you know the land's running dry. Signal number 3, the silent fire evacuation. A brush fire or a wildfire moves with terrifying speed. Long before you can smell smoke on your porch, and hours before the local news sends a warning to your phone, the birds are already leaving the area. They're reading an invisible chemical shift in the sky. Massive fires create a huge updraft of hot air that messes with the air pressure for miles around. At the same time, microscopic bits of ash and carbon gases start drifting into the upper wind currents. Birds are incredibly sensitive to air quality, way more than we are. When a fire's kicking up 20 miles away, they taste those tiny particles of ash long before you smell a thing. You'll notice a strange quiet exit. It's not the wild panic of a hawk attack. It's a steady, silent, one-way stream of birds. Entire flocks of chickadees and woodpeckers will move through the tree canopy in a single direction, traveling away from the danger. They don't stop at your feeders. They don't care about their territories. If you look outside on a calm afternoon and see your resident birds steadily moving past your house without stopping, pay attention. Something's burning over the horizon. Signal number 4, the cat lockdown. Thankfully, Most threats aren't burning over the horizon. Usually, they're right under your nose. Now let's look at your daily backyard security. Imagine it's a peaceful morning, the sun's out, and everything feels completely peaceful. Then, without a single sound or warning, your entire yard goes dead silent. The finches stop chattering. The feeders are suddenly abandoned. This is a total lockdown. It's creepy how fast it happens. Something dangerous just stepped into bounds. When a neighborhood cat sneaks into your garden, the songbirds don't always fly up into the sky. Flying makes them an easy target. Instead, they do something smarter. They melt into the very center of your thickest bushes or evergreen trees, and they freeze. They don't move a muscle. A cat's eyes are built to track sudden jerky movements. By holding perfectly still and shutting up completely, the birds effectively make themselves invisible. If you walk outside and notice the usual morning background noise has completely vanished, don't assume the birds just went somewhere else. They're still there, hiding in the shadows, waiting out a hunter that's stalking your perimeter. Signal number 5, the hawk siren. The whole game changes when the danger comes from above. When a Cooper's hawk or a sharp-shinned hawk lands in the high branches of your oak trees, the small birds can't afford to sit tight and stay silent. A hawk can dive through the air at a speed that closes a 50-foot gap in the blink of an eye. Against that kind of speed, the birds switch to an audio defense system. You'll hear a sudden burst of very high, thin whistling notes. It sounds like a sharp hiss in the air. Chickadees and sparrows use this specific high frequency because it's a physical quirk of nature. And here's the neat part. A hawk's ears just can't pinpoint where that high pitch is coming from. It's a universal alarm that tells every small bird in the neighborhood to drop like a stone into the nearest thick briar patch. While the little birds dive for cover, the blue jays take over the watch. Blue jays are the self-appointed security guards of the backyard. The moment they spot a hawk sitting still, they'll swarm the tree screaming a loud raspy cry. They're pointing a finger right at the hawk, ruining its ability to pull off a surprise attack. If your yard suddenly shatters into high whistles, followed by angry screaming jays, look up. A predator's scanning your grass. Signal number 6, the snake dive bomb. Depending on where you live, the biggest threat to your local birds might not have wings at all. It crawls through the grass. Black rat snakes and coach whips are expert climbers. They look for smooth tree trunks or the posts of your nest boxes, trying to get inside to take eggs and young chicks. Because a snake moves without making a sound, birds have developed a desperate aggressive defense called dive bombing. An American robin or a northern mockingbird will catch sight of the snake near the base of a tree. Instantly, they start making low, angry passes, swooping down within inches of the snake's head. You can actually hear their wings snapping in the air, accompanied by a non-stop clicking alarm note. They're trying to annoy and distract the snake, forcing it to turn around or head back into the open grass where it can't climb easily. If you look out at your lawn and see a pair of mockingbirds repeatedly plunging toward a specific patch of ivy, screaming at the dirt, be careful. Don't walk into that grass in your bare feet. Seriously, go grab your boots. They're pinning down something that's actively hunting. Signal number 7, the nursery raid. During the spring, your backyard birds are managing a very fragile home, a nest filled with helpless, noisy babies. This nest's hunted by almost everything, including opportunistic neighbors you might not suspect, like American crows or even gray squirrels. And trust me, those squirrels are smarter than they look. When a crow or a squirrel starts nosing around to active nest, the parent birds enter a state of total panic. You'll see a pair of tiny wrens or sparrows flying in frantic tight loops right around the intruder's face. Their voices change completely. The pretty songs are gone. Instead, they make a thick, buzzy, harsh noise that sounds like static electricity. They're putting their own lives on the line, trying to get the robber to look at them instead of the specific fork in the branch where the babies are tucked away. Most people hear this and think the birds are just bickering, but the rhythm of a nest raid's different. It's much faster, it goes on for hours without a single break, and you can hear the physical exhaustion in their voices. If you hear that nonstop buzzy panic coming from a tree, a robbery's happening right then. Signal number 8, the neighborhood watch. Most people assume the backyard security team shuts down when the sun goes below the horizon. But the danger just shifts to a different set of players, nighttime bandits like raccoons and opossums. If you're sitting out on your patio at twilight and you hear a sudden sharp explosion of clicking and chattering notes from a nest box, don't ignore it. This is often the work of house wrens or eastern bluebirds. They can hear the scratching of claws against the wood post or tree bark long before the animal reaches the entrance hole. They'll actually leave the safety of the nest box fluttering just inches above the raccoon's face, trying to throw off its balance. At the same time, if a family of raccoons is moving through the grass under your trees, you might hear the sudden low guttural clucking of robins roosting overhead. They're tracking the ground movement in the dark, passing the warning along the line, so no bird gets caught off guard on a low branch. If the twilight hours are suddenly filled with sharp clicks and nervous clucking, a midnight raid's being planned in your garden. Signal number 9, the spring code. When the night passes and long before the first green tips break through the frozen winter dirt, the bird community's already switched over to spring mode. The signal's quiet, and you have to listen closely to hear it. The short, simple winter notes they used to stay connected during the cold months disappear. Instead, the air fills with the long, beautiful, full melodies of territorial song. A male cardinal will fly to the absolute highest twig of your tallest tree, completely exposing himself to hawks, just to let his voice ring out across the neighborhood. You'll also see them carrying things. Birds will fly across your yard with long strands of dead grass, small twigs, or bits of dog hair in their beaks. They move with a quiet, secretive focus, slipping into the middle of a thick bush or a nest box. You might even see pairs of mourning doves sitting tight together on a wire, performing a rhythmic synchronized bowing dance. These are the secret signs. Spring's already taken over the yard, no matter what the calendar on your wall says. Signal number 10, the toxic silence. Most of the time we notice danger because it's loud and dramatic. But the most terrifying warning your backyard can ever give you is the warning of total absence. Environmental issues rarely happen overnight. They're usually a slow, invisible buildup. Lawn pesticides, old chemicals in the dirt, and chemical runoff wash into the soil. From there, they get eaten by the earthworms, beetles, and grubs. As the songbirds eat those insects month after month, the toxins build up inside their bodies. One possible cause of a sudden decline in your backyard music isn't a wave of predators, but this slow chemical accumulation. Scientists have found that even tiny amounts of these chemicals can mess with a bird's brain. Specifically, it targets the part of their brain that handles learning and singing complex melodies. The male birds lose the ability to hold their full, beautiful tunes. Their songs become short, repetitive, and sound off, kind of like an old car radio losing its station. Eventually, the music can fade out entirely. You wake up at 5 in the morning in May, step out with your coffee, and realize the morning chorus is gone. The rich, beautiful wall of sound from the robins and thrushes has flattened out into a few lonely, disconnected notes from a single sparrow. That silence is a major red flag. It often means the life under your lawn has run into a serious wall. The insects are either gone, or they're carrying a payload that's actively hurting the local wildlife. When the birds stop singing, something's wrong with the land. And if the ground's no longer healthy for them, it's a warning for us too. The birds in your yard aren't just background decoration. They're living sensors whose every breath, every flight path, and every sharp note's a real-time report on the health, safety, and future of the place you call home. We spend tons of money on soil test kits, water filters, and air quality apps to tell us if our neighborhoods are safe. Yet the absolute truth of your local environment's broadcast every single morning for free right outside your window. The next time you hear a frantic scolding in your bushes, or notice a silent, strange migration through the trees, don't just ignore it. Just stop for a second look at how they're flying and really listen to the tone of their voices. The signs are all there. We just have to pay attention. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you see your yard a little differently, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below with your state and let me know the strangest thing you've seen your neighborhood birds do. Keep an eye on your local flocks, and I'll see you right here next week.